Hi, my name is Aaron J. Marks. You can find out more about me at aaronjmarks.com. I'm a visionary purpose coach and a metaphysical leadership mentor. To my knowledge, I'm the only one in human history who's claimed either of those titles, and those that know me well tell me they couldn't imagine better ones for me. For as long as I can remember, I felt like my mind has worked just a little differently than most people's. At times it's been uncomfortable, but I've begun to see that it's actually incredibly important and that there's never been a better time to share the way that I think and see with the creative and entrepreneurial leaders out there who need to hear it. This is my podcast, A Higher Level. Everything we think, see, and do here happens on a higher level, and that makes all the difference. For some of you, these are among the most important and transformational conversations you will ever hear, and they will fill in something you may not have even known was missing, but something that is essential for your happiness and transformation. This podcast is all about creating a space for these conversations, a place to explore your deepest and most persistent questions about the human condition, a place to dream, play, and muse about the meaning of it all, a place people tell me only I can help them access, and a place of crucial importance for the human spirit and our future as the human race. On a higher level, everything is vast, rich, beautiful, and deeply optimistic. Join me there now, on a higher level. Hi, this is Aaron of aaronjmarks.com. Hope you're doing well, wherever you're listening to this. And I'm a visionary purpose coach and metaphysical leadership mentor. And this is my podcast, A Higher Level, where everything we think, see, and do happens on a higher level. Welcome. And we're kind of we're in the middle of a series about the 5 perpetual paradoxical problems or dysfunctions of the human condition. And this is the point of this in this kind of series where I feel like I'm giving the same introduction over and over again. It's important because you're coming into a new episode, but go back and jump in where the series started. If you're starting here, this is not the place to start. This is the place to continue. So, the second problem of the human condition or dysfunction is what I call narrative trauma. And this is where the past meets the present. And the past is real in a very important way. And, I came up with this idea when a coach that I was working with said something that I didn't agree with. I had just been through a very painful experience and was trying to get my momentum back to move forward. And he said, the past is in the past, leave it there. And I thought, no, I disagree with that. We are irrevocably shaped by our past and we carry it with us and we draw great meaning from our past, individually and collectively. And so that's when I came up with the idea of narrative trauma. So let me see if I can talk you through what I mean by this. So, if you think about the realms, the 5 realms, so there's motion, life, action, strategy, and purpose. And kind of built into the bottom of that is the history of the universe. So it's like if you go back to the Big Bang and you see the universe start to expand, you get all the the stars, the galaxies, the planets, the asteroids. None of that is sentient, right? It's all just chemical reactions and physics in various kinds of motion, right? That's where that word comes from. Celestial bodies crashing into each other, creating moons, stars doing fusion. None of that has an experience, right? It's just doing what it does. And it's magnificent. It's majestic and beautiful, but it's not sentient. It's not conscious. And so when an asteroid crashes into a planet and then the big part breaks off and there's a moon, and when the volcanoes erupt, and the stars do their fusion process, there's no trauma, right? We agree on this, right? You cannot traumatize a rock. Now you can destroy a particularly beautiful rock, but there's no trauma there, right? Now, when we enter the realm of life, that changes, right? Now, gradually, because can plants be traumatized? Some people say they could, right? Although I think we're not certain about it. It's like we're trying to figure that out. Now, can we traumatize an animal? Yeah, clearly we can, right? We can traumatize animals of all kinds, including birds and fish and insects. Now there's a question of how much different kind of classes of species suffer, which is why we say things, or why we speculate about things like lobsters, right? And we boil them alive as a standard practice. People sort of are comforted by the idea that they don't feel pain. Now we don't know, and I hear varying things about that. And so, if there's pain, there's trauma there, right? But for some beings, it's pretty well unmistakable that they can, that that they can be traumatized, right? And beings are traumatized by nature. Like an animal could fall and break its leg, right? Or it could be traumatized by another species, right? So like the lion eats the zebra on the savannah. That's trauma, right? There's trauma there. um Now here's the thing, right? And so humans are traumatized as well, right? We're traumatized by a wide variety of things. It's we're traumatized by nature as well, right? The elements, just the unforgiving nature of physical existence. We're traumatized by animals, right? We're traumatized by disease. We're traumatized by each other, right? And we're traumatized by each other in different ways. We're traumatized physically. We're traumatized emotionally. Um, humans are able to hurt each other emotionally in ways that no other species can. Now, perhaps we'll have a post-traumatic stress response to, a wild animal attack. That's certainly conceivable, but we're highly traumatized by each other, as well. I think we all know this. Yeah, in all sorts of ways, both intended and unintended. And part of it's just kind of the nature of the world, with its economic scarcity. There's just trauma built into that. So what makes human trauma different? What makes it special? Well, it's what I call narrative trauma. And it's a way that we deal with trauma that no other species does or is able to. And here's the difference. Our trauma is different because we tell stories about it, hence narrative trauma, right? And we do this on every conceivable social level. So what happens when we're hurt by someone? Well, we find a friend and we commiserate and we bond over that trauma, don't we? And we form a social group around that trauma, right? Narrative trauma forms social groups. So we do this with friends, we do this with families, right? We bond over our trauma. We do this with support groups. We do this with companies. Every company has a mission statement that's in response to some kind of narrative trauma. We saw something dissatisfactory about the world and we said, oh, I can make an organization to ease that trauma. I'm going to write a story around it and I'm going to attract other people to that mission, right? That's narrative trauma. It's a story about pain, about dissatisfaction that, it simply is part of existence that we tell a story about, and we attract other people who see the truth in that story and create a social group with us. And social groups come in all sorts of forms, right? So every organization that you're part of was built on some kind of narrative trauma. Now, narrative trauma is paradoxical because it's very inspiring, and it's very meaningful. So it's like if you went up to someone and you asked them, just very like simply and directly, do you want more trauma in your life? They are going to say no. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you will likely find many traumas that person has experienced, or stories of traumas that they share with other people, or that they've heard about, from which they draw great meaning. And from meaning comes inspiration and purpose, right? So the paradox here is that we actually don't want to be free of our trauma. We want to find meaning in our trauma. That's the human condition. That's the dysfunction, right? And without trauma, we wouldn't have work to do, right? Because everything that we do is in response to some kind of inconvenience or some kind of trauma, some kind of problem to solve or trauma to heal, isn't it? So it's one of those things that kind of keeps us all going. And so that's why it's a dysfunction, is because we can't escape trauma, because the moment that happened, we wouldn't be human anymore and we wouldn't have anything else to do. And I don't know why this is, but what I do know is that traumas are highly meaningful, which is why we love the stories we do, and that no story that we ever are interested in is going to happen without trauma or conflict. Like, it just doesn't happen. It's just, we're so interested in it and we find it so meaningful, right? What do we do? Like, it's like if we want to do something meaningful and, we don't have, don't have anything else to do, we tell a story, right? we watch a movie, we read a book, we watch a play, right? So on the grandest level, this is one of those really paradoxical things. The narrative traumas of the human species create religions and movements. So without narrative trauma, you wouldn't have Martin Luther King or Mahatma Gandhi or Rosa Parks. You wouldn't have the central narrative myths of Judaism with its exodus from Egypt, or Christianity with Christ crucified, or Buddhism with Buddha leaving the palace and witnessing the suffering outside. These are all stories of narrative trauma, and they drive just deeply inspiring and visionary movements that attract people in droves to this level of inspiration and vision, all around proceeding to a better world with different traumas, not no trauma, right? Because we constantly need traumas to heal. So that's narrative trauma. Deeply paradoxical dysfunction, right? Just it shows us that we can't be free of trauma because we find so much meaning in it. And we take the past with us that drives us to heal the future. And when we get to the future, there's going to be more trauma to heal. So narrative trauma. So my name is Aaron of aaronjmarks.com. I'm a visionary purpose coach and metaphysical leadership mentor. And this is A Higher Level. It's my podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to A Higher Level. I hope that got you seeing, thinking, and acting just a little differently, or maybe even a lot. When you act differently, you get different results. But we need to start with the vision and the thinking. How do you feel? Ready to go and make positive, inspiring changes in your life and work? If so, it means what we're doing here is working, and I would love for you to let me know if this is you. There's a bunch of ways for you to get in touch with me. You can go to my website, aaronjmarks.com, or look for Aaron J. Marks, Visionary Purpose Coach and Metaphysical Leadership Mentor on Facebook, or you can look for Aaron J. Marks on LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever is easiest for you. And if this is speaking to you, I might suggest that you think about becoming one of my leadership coaching clients. In our work together, we'll have conversations on this level, but tailored just to your life and aspirations. You really can't imagine what a difference this can make for your mindset, vision, and results. The first step after learning more about my approach is to book a free no-obligation discovery call, both of which you can do at aaronjmarks.com. If your intuition is nudging you, don't wait any longer. It is likely the next step along the marvelous journey of wherever you are here to go and whatever it is you are here to do. And I can't wait to meet you. Thanks again for listening, everyone. I'll see you on the next episode when we'll continue to see, think, and act on a higher level. I'll see you then. A Higher Level is the official podcast of Aaron J. Marks, Visionary Purpose Coach and Metaphysical Leadership Mentor. Learn more at www.aaronjmarks.com. A Higher Level is written, recorded, edited, and produced by Aaron J. Marks. Music is by Arie. I'll see you next time on A Higher Level.